Are you ready to learn about one of the best real estate investing strategies to get guaranteed income every single month without having to hound tenants for all of the rent? Guess what? This video is going to be fantastic for you. After watching this video, you're going to learn why Section 8 is a must and why you need to invest today. And it's all going to begin right after this. Hi everyone, I'm Josh Tavares, investor and realtor with eXp Realty. It'd be so great if you can help us out. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to get updates on our newly uploaded content. And if you're looking to get into real estate investing with low involvement, great cash flow, great appreciation at a low price point, click the link below. Let's book an appointment and let's partner together. Without further ado, let's begin. As you may or may not know, we've begun investing into the US based on the Section 8 program. And we found out that investing in the US right now in Detroit has been fantastic in terms of the cash flow, price point, appreciation, and everything as such, alongside with the ability to scale much quicker than we would here in Ontario. I'm going to share with you some of the amazing pros about investing through the Section 8 program and why you need to get started today, because it's honestly going to be a game changer to your real estate portfolio and help you scale your portfolio as well. And it's something that isn't as common here in Ontario, or at least not through the term Section 8, more through ODSP, but in this term, it's actually better towards the US side than in Canada side. In Ontario, we have ODSP, which allows individuals with either lower income or individuals with disabilities to receive income from the government, just like Section 8. However, the funds go straight into the tenant's pocket, and then it's essentially up to the tenant whether they want to pay their rent in full or pay late or pay a little bit here and there, which of course is not really illegal based on the Ontario Landlord-Tenant Board rules, but there are many tenants out there who are abusing it, and as well as also many tenants who are actually obliging and following the rules. Now with Section 8 in terms of the US, you're going to have an agency help individuals lower income or disabilities find housing and receive income or have subsidy on a monthly basis, high amounts such as 70% up to 100%, and then they're going to have housing which will pass inspection. So on both sides, everyone's been vetted. The house has to be inspected and passed, and the individuals need to be vetted and of course pass as well. And what's so great about this essentially is that from a landlord's perspective, the funds will go straight, at least 70%, into the landlord's pocket, in which the remaining amount will come from the tenant. So it's not 100% that's being relied upon from the tenant. And of course, for the tenant, it's fantastic. They'll have 70% or higher being paid from the housing agency, which is fantastic, which means it's more income they'll have towards their living expenses, such as groceries, gas, or anything else. Now, I will say every situation is different. Every tenant is going to be different, mainly depending on the income. Now, the lower their income is, a higher percentage is going to be provided from the housing agency. And if all of a sudden things change the following year, well, then that means the housing agency is going to provide less funds and more will have to come from the tenant. And let's say some of these tenants are actually below the poverty line. They're more likely to receive 100% of the subsidy that'll come straight into the investor's pocket without having to go to the tenants, knocking on the door and requesting for the rents or waiting for the deposit to get cleared, all from the tenant's hand. That'll come from the housing agency on a monthly basis. Remember, these ratios are going to depend based on the housing agency's ratios. So like I said, income is a big component, and it's going to depend on that and other factors as to how much they're going to receive and then how much you're going to receive from the tenant side. Now for us, we use property management. They're going to be the ones that are going to be able to compile both ends from the housing agency as well as a tenant's perspective, and then we'll be able to receive the funds, of course, subtract any expenses as well as subtract property management fees. For some investors who are used to working with cash tenants, they may say, well, that's not guaranteed income. Well, you're going to receive a large portion coming straight from the housing agency directly into your bank account, and the rest coming from your tenants. So let's just say the housing agency is going to take and pay 80%. That means you have an 80% guarantee, and the 20% is going to come from the tenant side, where if you were to have cash tenants and they decided to not pay for this month, you're actually going to be left with making zero. Now with the tenants, if they're not paying on time, they're not paying in full, and they're causing any disturbances, especially some serious maintenance on the property or disturbance to other people in the community, then they can actually lose their Section 8 spot and actually be off the waiting list, or have to go all the way to the bottom. It could take quite some time for housing. Currently, because of what's taking place with the pandemic, there's a really high demand and a low supply. So these tenants are more likely to be incentivized to actually take care of the property and not cause any disturbances and pay in full and on time. Another reason why we loved investing in the US and Detroit, because things are less lenient on the tenant side, where essentially it's easier for an investor to go about the process to have an individual evicted from the property in the event that they're not abiding by the rules, paying full on time, causing concerns to the community, damaging the property, anything as such, and have the ability to have them removed and have a sheriff remove them much quicker. Where in Ontario, it could take 6 months to a year and things can continue to revolve like a revolving door. And that can be a really big issue for investors. Another great thing with this program is that let's just say you have tenants who just got into a new career path, making a lot more money, and they're no longer receiving the voucher from the Section 8 agency. Guess what? It's a lot easier to have them removed and provide the notice to vacate the property within a shorter time frame than it would be in Ontario, in which once the program is done, within a short time, you'll be able to get if need be, an individual from the agency, like a sheriff, and have them removed from the property, where in Ontario it would take a lot longer, and chances are it'd be a lot more cost on the investor's end. And that's actually not the worst thing, because in the event these individuals are no longer receiving the voucher, guess what? They can now probably afford potentially their own property, in which if they really love the house that you're in and maybe not able to get fair lending, you could actually do a rent-to-own agreement with them and have them own the property, in which they'll be able to own the property based on a couple of years' time, that they're able to receive financing from a lending institution and then be able to get some of the principal based on some sort of a deposit they would put towards the property alongside with the rent, and actually provide them opportunity to own the home that they actually once lived in. And I know this happened multiple times for different investors who had tenants who actually got a much better career, were no longer on the program, love the house, and don't want to buy anywhere else, don't want to rent anywhere else through being cash tenants. And it worked out for both sides. And with the Section 8 program, it's so great to have consistent income coming in at the same time every single month. I will say, as an investor here in Ontario, there are some times that it's going to take maybe a week or two for some funds to clear, but we do receive our rents, and we do have great property management that we're very satisfied with. But sometimes it takes a little longer for funds to clear, where it's not usually the issue when it comes to the Section 8 program in the US. Another great thing with this program is they're actually pretty fair, because you're going to have an inspector here and there come to the property and be able to inspect. And let's just say that your tenants are causing massive maintenance onto the property. Guess what? The inspector is going to notice that and say, hey, this is clearly an issue from the tenants. This wouldn't be from wear and tear. So because of that, there could be some repercussions on the tenant side. Now, of course, that also goes to the side of the investor as well, because if it is some sort of maintenance and wear and tear that hasn't been addressed, that can definitely be a concern as well for the investor. In this case, you're actually having a fair playing field amongst both sides, where in parts of Ontario, it's actually heavily favored towards tenants and not so much towards investors. And that's why there's many investors that we know that are actually selling off all their property in Ontario, no longer want to invest, which is an issue, because now that creates a shortage of housing and makes it harder for individuals to find housing, all because certain individuals are allowing more rights to one side and certain people are abusing it, making it less incentivizing for investors to continue doing so. And that's why there's many investors that are shifting their focus and their funds over to different markets. And another big thing about the Section 8 housing program is, let's just say you have tenants into your property who are consuming drugs. Guess what will happen? The inspector will go on site. If they notice anything, not only will the process for eviction begin, but they'll also lose their Section 8 voucher forever. So like I mentioned before, it's more important than ever for them to be on their A game and to actually not do anything that would actually make them lose their Section 8 voucher. And like I said, same thing goes for any property damages, damage to anyone else, or disturbances to other people in the community or even in the property. And for some investors, they have problems with having too many people living in the property, in which it works out well because Section 8 actually has a ratio as to how many people should be at the property at once. So in the event that you're renting out a home to a family of 3 or 4 and they have 10 people in the home, living in the home, and they're noticing many cars in the lot or whatnot, Section 8 does not like that. They can begin the process of having the tenant removed. And this measure is actually a safety measure to make sure there's not too many people in the property in the event that something happens and it's just not a safe living environment for everyone involved. In which, if this does take place, as an investor, guess what? Maybe it's an opportunity for you to invest in more Section 8 rentals. And if these individuals were actually on the wait list and their next ones to be served, guess what? Maybe they can be in your next rental property. And also too, with these tenants, guess what? They're going to be typically long-term tenants, individuals who are probably going to stay 3, 5, even 7 years. These are not individuals who are going to stay for only 365 days and it'll be gone. And there's so many costs associated that you're not going to see on a monthly basis, but you'll notice for those months it's vacant. You'll have to pay for insurance, you won't receive income, and you have to pay for all the holding fees. Like, it's really going to add up, and it's one of those costs that happen for investors, especially often for cash investors, where tenants are always kind of moving out like a revolving door, in which it's actually going to cause a lot of expenses, and the cash flow you were expecting to receive in the end of the year will be cut down substantially based on tenant turnover. And with the Section 8 program, every 11 months, the lease gets renewed unless you have something to say about it. And if there's been any concerns with the tenants, then of course you can go into the housing agency and press a complaint. But if not, then you might as well have the same tenants continue to live into the property. Let's say the area goes through a massive gentrification and where there's a massive increase in property values, rents, and everything as such. Guess what? You can actually submit a request to increase the rent monthly amount. Of course, you want to go within what's going on in the marketplace. You don't want to make up any numbers because it's going to cause big issues. So you essentially can go to the housing agency and say, hey, I want to increase my rent by $50, $75 based on how well the area is done, as well as the market rents in the community. And of course, if the information you're providing is suffice and justifiable, they can make that happen. Another great thing with this, if you have single family properties in the Section 8 program, is that you're not going to have to pay for the utilities. So it's actually going to be more cash flow into your pocket. So that's a fantastic thing. Now, I will say, if you're going to have a property that says a duplex and not separate metered, that's going to be an issue and something that you're going to have to pay for the utilities, because it's not fair to go about charging tenants for things like gas, electricity, water, without knowing how much other apartments within that property are using. And what's better than that, on all of our Ontario properties, we have to pay for some form of utilities, where in this case, because there's single family properties in the US, we don't have to pay for the utilities because the tenant's using everything as such. So they're paying for their rent, they're going to be paying for their own utilities, and essentially as an investor, you're receiving funds into your pocket and having minimal expenses. And remember, when you're getting into Section 8 program, you need to do your research and understand what are the market rents going on in the community, as well as how much you're buying these properties for. Like with anything, you need to be fully educated on the moves that you're going to make with your investment. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope this video was super helpful, insightful, and gives you all the information of all the pros and why it's so great and why you need to begin investing into Section 8 properties. I'm Josh Tavares, investor and realtor with eXp Realty. It'd be so great if you can help us out. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to get updates on our newly uploaded content. And if you're looking to invest in real estate, low involvement, great cash flow, great appreciation at a really low price point, click the link below. Let's book an appointment. Let's partner together. Thanks so much for watching, guys. See you next time.